That is better. Let me tell Danesha to hop on in here. What's up, y'all? We're gonna be talking about. I'm just gonna get started, even though nobody here yet. We're gonna be talking about something that is, I think, a topic that we don't talk about as often, and we should talk about as often, because a lot of the issues that we have are being exposed in our parenthood. Hey, Danesha, she's here. Let me get you in, girl. How do I do this again? Oh, can you send a request? How do we do this again? There you go. There you go. What up, girl?
Hey,
Hey.
made it through.
Honey, motherhood. I was like trying to rush back too, because I had to go to the post office to get like a new mailbox key. And then I had to make sure they're fed, which you already know. Every second.
Girl, I was just having a conversation about that. My children just don't get full. It's like they have a bottomless stomach.
Yeah, I can't take it. But yeah, we could just get started, because we record this and we share it. So
Perfect.
when people, if they come in, they come in. If not, they can watch it afterwards. So I was saying a second ago how I think this is a really, really topic and conversation that doesn't get spoken about as often, and it needs to, because we often talk about how if we don't heal ourselves, it comes out in our relationships, but we're often mainly focusing on like relationships with your partners. Like, oh, it'll come out when you're dating and things like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's one thing. But it also comes out after you have children. Whatever you have not healed from, your children will put a mirror to your face and show you what you became because of that trauma. And I'll just give a brief of mine, and then we just can just keep going on this. But when I first had my son, I have a very I don't even know how to describe it, because I don't want people to think like I'm shitting on my mom, because that's how people sometimes will take it, you know what I mean? And I'm not. So let me be clear on that right now. Anything I'm saying here, this is not me like shitting on my mom. This is just me sharing my truth. And I am fully aware that a lot of her actions, or all of her actions, were because she didn't get to heal. So now I have to do that job for the both of us, pretty much, so we can break these cycles. So at the time that I have my son, my mom and I were at a point where we were starting to somewhat rebuild our relationship as an adult, because we didn't have any when I was younger at all. We had a very toxic relationship. And I also want to be clear, this is not your normal mother-daughter beef relationship. Like, mine goes way deeper than that for many other reasons, and I won't go into too much detail about her business like that. But so when I have my son, hi Kelly. So when I have my son, I figured, oh, this is awesome. Although I really can't get a great relationship with her, you know what I mean? Because we're two completely different people. And the time that she wasn't around was a very crucial time to my me growing into a woman, which I didn't have a woman to guide me. So because of that, when I became older, I was already disconnected from her. It was like, I mean, yeah, we're cool, but I can't come to you for anything because I don't have that connection with you. But I figured that when I have children, one thing I won't do is deny her a second chance to do that with my children. Whatever she couldn't do for me, here's your chance. And I actually thought she would be able to do it. I really did. Unfortunately, she wasn't. She's just not mentally in the place to do that. But what I noticed was she came to stay with me in the first 30 days after I gave birth. And you would think that having your mom there for 30 days should be like one of the best things ever. Having that help, having that, just your mom, now you're a mom. Hi, Melinda. And honestly, it was a complete nightmare. It was a complete nightmare because I realized how disconnected she is and how programmed she is to a certain way that's very toxic to children. We have this idea of don't pick them up, you're going to spoil them. How the fuck can you spoil a newborn? How the fuck can you spoil a newborn coming from another dimension into this one? Hey, Crystal, that doesn't know anything and just wants safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I noticed was a lot of the way that she was, you know, telling me and things, whatever. I was like, no, none of that feels natural in my heart. Nothing in my spirit feels good about that. Like just leaving him there, just no, I'm not doing any of that. But then it got deeper as babies cry. This is what they do, right? However, I started noticing that when the crying would get just more intense, for whatever reason, you know, children catch tantrums, children go through stuff. What started happening was I started getting this intense anxiety inside my body. I would feel a heat rush through my whole entire body, and I would feel this rage inside, like literally rage, and I would just spaz the fuck out, like shut the fuck up, like that. And then afterwards, I would stop and be like, oh my God, like why did I just do that? You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know, you know what I mean? Like, and then that was the thing that I started being aware of how much trauma I had. I also started noticing that when I was with them and, you know, we were having a good time and we were loving and we were having fun and doing all these things and affectionate, I started to realize I don't remember any of that with my mom. I don't remember nothing. It's as if she's like just a ghost. Even when she was physically there, I remember those moments with my dad. I remember laughing with him. I remember playing with him. I remember all that with my dad. As I'm seeing with my children, I would get like flashes, and I would see me and my dad doing that. I don't have any like I don't remember anything now. I don't know if I blocked that out because there was probably so much damage done that I just completely shut her out, or it really wasn't existent. You know, so. It's just so many layers to it. And even when I started having multiple children, and you know, when you have children back to back, it's a lot. You feel like you're in postpartum for 20 years, dude. Like postpartum, let me just tell y'all, is not like the first, you know, 6 months or a year. Honey, I feel like I'm just getting out of postpartum. Okay, I've had 3 children back to back since 2015, and I feel like I'm just now getting, you know what I mean? But it's been work because I've been aware that there was an issue that I've been really trying to work. Girl, Kelly, no joke.
I'm glad we're stations.
Yes, because you know what it is? It's like you don't even know you're going through it. You're just kind of moving like a robot, doing what you got to do. And you're not realizing that some of these feelings that you're having and you're talking to yourself and you're doing these things, that's fucking postpartum depression, dude. You don't even know you're depressed because you're just working, taking care of the baby, working, taking care of the baby, working, taking care of the baby. You have no time for yourself. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to do anything. And you don't realize that all this is just building up and building up and building up and building up. And that's why sometimes you spaz on your children. And then you feel the mom guilt. The mom guilt will fuck you up for like a whole day. I'll sit there like, why did I react like that? Why did I react like that? You know what I mean? And it's like, the great thing about us is that we're aware of this. A lot of people are not aware. And that's one thing that I always notice that my friends, like when I speak to them and I tell them, especially the ones that don't have children, they're like, Jen, you're actually aware that this is even happening. Some moms are just continuing, you know what I mean? So and that's why me and Danesha want to talk about this, because you have to be aware of it in order to fix it. Yes, Kelly, anxiety, let me tell you, and this is why I smoke. I always smoke. Everybody know that. Everybody know I don't fucking smoke weed all the fucking time. But when I had children, honey, at first, I'm gonna be so fucking frank with y'all. I was not trying to smoke weed because I was scared. I was nursing. Yeah. Bitch, when I had the second one, I was smoking by the first 2 weeks because fuck that. I was like, no, if I'm gonna survive this, everybody else pops prescription pills for anxiety, pops all these things. Well, I'm gonna smoke my motherfucking blunt. or my joint, because I don't do blunts anymore. I'm fancy. So I was like, no, I this is what works for me. You know what I mean? And of course, just for all the other ones, I did do my due diligence. I spoke to other mothers that have done it. And I realized there's a community of moms who smoke marijuana. Hemp tea is also great. Yes, Kelly. You know, that do this to help their anxiety, you know, because there's different ways. You can do edibles, you can do different things, you know, but the trauma that I was experiencing, there was different levels of it. So first, and I'm gonna have you speak in a second, Danesha. First, it was the mom situation, my mom, right? When I had my son, I'm like, damn, I can't even call her, I can't even count on her, you know, and I don't have any aunts or any of that I can go to for guidance. All I have is my girlfriends that I grew up with for like 30 years, or other mothers like you that we can talk and we can be transparent and share our truth, and we'd be like, girl, you are not crazy. I started smoking weed and just recently it helps. Yes, girl, smoke that joint, honey. Puff, puff. I wish I had one right now, but anyways, so whatchamacallit, then this is where it gets crazy. So I deal with that, you know, I'm starting to realize like, wow, I don't ever remember this connection with my mom, right? And a connection with your mom is very important, especially as a daughter, because as a daughter, as a woman, you provide something to that daughter. The father provides something, yes, but when it comes to womanhood and growing as a woman, only the mother is going to be able to give you that. So when you don't have that, you're going to have that void. Mm-hmm. So I made mistakes when I was younger, and because of that void, I got into a very destructive relationship at 17 years old, in which was very abusive physically and mentally. And when I had my daughter, she was about probably a couple of days old. And every time I would hold her, I would feel this intense anxiety. And I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Like, she's fine. Like, I don't understand what's going on. But I would get this like extreme worry, like something was going to happen to her. But there was nothing going on. So what I started doing was, you know, I meditate a lot. And when I meditate, I'm the type of person that I'm like, show me what I can't see. Show me, reveal to me what I am blind to. Show me what I can't see so I can fix it. Why am I feeling like this? Like, what is buried? Hi, Danielle. What is buried in my subconscious that now is coming out and taking over me while I'm holding this baby that I love so much? And I'm like, oh, I have a girl now. This is amazing. I can now do with her what wasn't done with me, as far as the nurturing and being there for her and guiding her as a woman. And then as I started dissecting everything, it was that destructive relationship I had. There was this fear of, what if she went through this too at one point? I would lose my entire mind. I remember even telling my dad, thank you, because my dad was the one who raised me my whole entire life, okay? My whole entire life, my father raised me. And he did an incredible job to raise a woman as a man by himself. And what I realized was, I told him thank you, because, you know, when I was in my dark place, like, you know, he was still there for me. When I left, I moved out, I came back, he was right there with open arms, like, it's all good. It wasn't no, I told you so, you may, it wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that. He just said, it's all right. Don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You know what I mean? Just don't, you know what I mean? Like, just learn from these things. And what I realized was, here I was, I left that situation. Oftentimes we leave a situation, but we don't heal from it. All we did was leave. That was it. The first step, yes, the first step is leaving. After that, you got to do some deep shadow work to tap all the way in there to find out what happened. So really quick, what started happening was, I'm here cooking, cleaning, doing the regular mother stuff, working. When I was in that relationship, that person had me like a slave, pretty much. I would have to cook, I would have to clean, I would have to wash everybody's clothes. And if I didn't do it, oh, I got fucked up. Like, and I'm talking about kicked in the face, dragged by my hair in the street. I mean, levels to it. I had a gun put to my head. It's that intense, the trauma I went through. Like, I had to leave by lying to the person that I was going to be with him. And this person, just so you know, I'm not crazy. This person actually ended up killing the person he got with after me, shooting her in the back of the head, and then killing himself. So that's the person I was dealing with. So what happened was, when I'm cooking and cleaning, my brain was as if I was there. So when all these dishes would pile up, when all this mess would happen, I would spaz. But that's what children do. They make a mess. You clean it, they make a mess. That's what it is. And I couldn't understand why I was losing my fucking mind off of washing dishes, doing the simplest things. I was going crazy and getting so upset at all this. Kelly knows. Yep, Kelly knows. I was losing my mind, and I started realizing, I remember my husband told me, he's like, you have to remember and keep reminding yourself that you're not doing this for him. You're doing this for us. You're doing this for your family that we created. And it was like, I had to realize, like, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted. I wanted a husband like Greg. I wanted multiple children. I wanted my family. I wanted my house. I wanted all that. And I had it. And I had everything right in front of me. And yet I can't function properly in it, So I had to always keep reminding myself, like, no, you're doing this for your children. Thank you, Melinda. You're doing this for your children. And that started shifting stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect. I still deal with things here and there, but I am aware. I also speak to my children where if I spaz for whatever reason for my own personal shit, because remember, your kids don't have to change. You have to change. Don't forget that. It's not them. They are not the problem. You are the problem. And until you realize that, you're going to keep fucking up your children, basically. And you know what? Be honest with them. When I fuck up, I tell my child, like, that wasn't right. The way I reacted to that or whatever. And my son always says, it's okay, mommy. And I always say, it's not okay. It's not okay. And I'm not ever going to make you think it's okay, because it's not okay. But I'm taking accountability for my actions, and I'm going to do better. And if at any point, maybe I don't see it while I'm in the mix of it, you can stop me and say, mommy, you said right on, check me. Please check me. Like, do that for me, because sometimes I need that, But yeah, that's like in a nutshell kind of my experience.
Yes, I love all of that. Yeah, because I feel sometimes where, like you said, I'm so glad you brought that up. Like, we're just doing, because that's how connected we are with nature, that we just naturally just go with the flow with things. Okay, we're drowning in housework and the baby needs to be fed and we haven't showered and we need to make food, but you're just on like automatic mode. Yeah. You just do. And I'm gonna be honest, like, I know that has to be insane, but something that happened in me that was a slightly bit different was that I became an observer when I was because I had to breastfeed a lot and I had to get out of my head while I was breastfeeding. So I would just watch and observe and listen. How's my mom talking? Because I was with my mom, I was with my family. How am I reacting? How are people around me? What are they saying? And I started getting into like a awakened meditation.
Hold on. Celeste is crying.
Okay. I could put this over here. Who else has joined us in the chat? Hi, Crystal. Hi, Robelsi. Just so you guys know, we're talking about traumatic parenting, like trauma-based. Okay. Hi, Celeste.
Greg is like finishing up the house and putting everything together, and they're like driving him crazy, so I'm gonna just take her here. Okay, girl.
You can join the live. But yeah, one of the things that I started doing was like kind of like awakening. It's like an awake meditation. So I just started breathing deep, and while I was breastfeeding him, and I had to do that because that's the only way for me to keep my mental. I'm not good in certain situations. I easily separate myself. I easily speak like exactly what's on my mind. I don't like beating around the bush. Like, there's a lot of things that I used to avoid, but as a mother, there's a lot of things that are just no longer part of me anymore. Right. And so after transforming like into motherhood, like some of the behaviors that I picked up, which I can't even credit anything but God, maybe source for that, because in reality, I wasn't like that. I've never had patience. But I also wanted to talk about, and it's like you said, it's not shaming the way that we were parented, but rather everybody needs their own journey. And I feel that my parents have their journeys towards me, and I have one towards them, where everything's gonna be a lesson rather than, oh, that's bad or that's a mistake. It's either I learned or it was something that I can take with me for my children. So when I thought about parenting, I took all the good things from my mom. I took everything that I thought was amazing about her. The fact that she would never give up. Yes, the fact that she made sure that even though everybody was doing whatever I wanted, I understood that it was what she said and what she said only, and that I couldn't let anything else influence me, which I thought that was extremely important, right? But then when I had to sit down and think about the negatives, part of that was I used to get hit a lot, and I didn't like that growing up. Now, I don't hate my mom for it. I can't lie and say that there wasn't times where I had wished that it wasn't happening, or like, why is this happening? And it's okay. I understand them now. But in the moments, yeah, there was a lot of times where I wanted to just not live like that, right? So I took that with me. And as a mother, I understood I didn't want to do that to my children, but I also understood that sometimes that might be necessary, right? So I needed to understand in what place like my mind was before and sometimes, like, I'm not coming from a place of perfect parenting, because that's the difference between me sitting over here and having a conversation with people and other moms telling other moms what to do. The difference between us and them is that we're learning as we go, and we're honest about the ways that we learn and what actually makes us better parents every day.
Yep.
So with that being said, when I get triggered, I resort to violence. Like, if you hurt my feelings, what I want to do is just hit you. It's just because since I was young, that's what's been
where we were raised at too.
Exactly, and then she couldn't raise me any different because that's the way that she was raised, and she understood that was the way, that was what worked. But it takes one to put their foot down and say, you know what, from here moving forward, we're gonna do things a little bit different, right? So when I understood that, I realized that a lot of, like, I yell a lot, oh, stop doing that, oh, relax. And I started catching those things and being like, oh, I'm doing the same things that I don't want, that I didn't like. And I had the same conversation that you did with Tristan, I had with Enzo. And I told him, listen, if you ever see me doing something, I want you to voice it, put your head up and speak up and say, I don't like that. And he does. He feels the confidence to kind of correct me, because also we need to understand, like, the children, they don't belong to me.
Right.
Yeah, they came through me. They came through me, but they do not belong to me. That means that one day those are going to be individual adult human beings that are going to do free will like everyone else in the world. They're going to do what they want. Not what I want or what I raised them doing. It doesn't matter, but I did want to make sure that I made them, like, my mom took me up to a certain level, and then now it's my turn to pick up everything and lift it up even more. So in reality, Enzo's start is going to be where I finish. So I need to make sure that I finish at the very, very top to give these kids the most head start into life as possible, right? And that means dissecting myself into picking out the greatness in me so that I can take it up there, because everything else I gotta leave down here. That's the way it has to be. So when I started understanding that and seeing that, like, my mom took me up to where she could, and now it's my turn, that means that I can also depend on him. I can depend on him. I can depend on them to guide me as well, because guess what? They came to be teachers as well. They're full of wisdom. They've been here before. They know. They're intuitive. They're naturally, like, curious. They have questions that even you have to look up and research and things. So, you know, thankfully, I think it shows in my children when they ask certain questions, the type of questions that they're asking, so you to know what they're learning. So not only am I healing, they don't even need to heal from anything yet, but they're learning how to, even if they had to,
if they,
you know?
yes, because we, for people who don't know, like, our children meditate. We teach them how to meditate. We teach them how to breathe. These are things that we weren't taught, and these things are so important when it comes to anxiety and depression and all these things. You gotta know how to, like, I always say, center yourself. Go sit down, do whatever you have to do to center yourself, because you are not your emotions. We get caught up in them. We're not the emotions. Emotions are simply a chemical reaction to the body that's triggered by a subconscious issue that you've probably had. So what happens is, and I spoke about this in one of my just videos before, where it's like a little crackhead that gets some crack and they be like, "Ooh, let's go get that bitch depressed, go feel suicidal, get that anxiety running," and they're having a field day of the chemicals in your body. So you have to take control and say, no, I'm not going to feel like this. I'm not feeling like this. I don't care what is happening around me. You sit there, and if you have to do mantras, whatever you have to do, you have to sit there and breathe. You have to rewire your brain so the chemicals now go into chemicals that are more joyous and happy, all the things that make you feel good. You have to force yourself, because at that moment, I know that feeling that you don't want to do anything. When I get in my mode, I want to just sit in my bed and talk to nobody and do nothing. That's what I get. You want to go, brother? Carter told me, "Mommy, pain is just in your mind." Wow,
that's powerful.
Great. Wow. I mean, that's not crazy. That's amazing. Let me say that.
Yeah.
That's
That's
amazing.
Okay. Yes, but these are conversations that children are not. I mean, we're trying to have all the other conversations with children that we're not supposed to be having. So what is the, you know, like, that's something that we don't often speak to our children about, is how to deal with their emotions and what they're feeling, you know, because it's the reason why we have all these like how do I like just things about boys and girls. Like, the only reason we even have them is because we're not really having proper conversations about anything. We're not really teaching our children that it's all chemicals, like it's all chemical reactions, it's all chemical like combinations in the body that determine how we feel, but how we feel is really absent to what we really are.
Yes, that's the thing. That's it. It is absent from who we really are.
So we have to learn that, okay, this is something that's happening in the moment. Don't run. Feel.
Yes,
because you
that's
run,
the thing. Don't
it's
deny
gonna
it. We're
catch
not telling you deny the feelings.
Yes, and then I feel that that's one of the best things is when you let them like feel it, soak in it, sit there. Yes, you're sad. Yes, I understand. Yes, okay, let's be sad. Not, oh no, stop being sad. Let's skip over that. No, because it's gonna come again until you learn to deal. Because that's another thing, that the same way that our body just automatically heals, it doesn't ask us permission to do those things. Our bodies just function a certain way. You are going to greatness no matter how much you sabotage yourself, how much you want to sabotage whatever you have going on in your life. You're gonna get rewired again and again until you get it, until you just shoot to your goals. And unfortunately, some people don't understand that the emotions have something to do with that growth. The feelings have to deal with that growth. If we push them away and we nag them out of our lives, then they're just gonna keep coming back. And I feel like those are conversations that children are not too young to have. What are you feeling? Talk about it, express it. Because when you do that, you're releasing. And once you can release, you leave space, you make space for all the information that's to come. And then that's another thing that people don't realize, that release is so important.
With you saying that, so here's the thing, like, there was a lot that I went through my mom when I was younger. And there was a situation that happened. I won't go into detail just to protect, that's her privacy. But what ended up happening was that I was silent and I didn't tell nobody what I was going through. Not none of my friends, not nobody. And I'm talking about I was probably like in 4th grade, so I forgot what age is that. Probably like 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think so. Something.
So there was something I was going through, and I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't want to, so I stood silent. And I stood silent for a couple of years. There was other built up stuff before that. And then I remember, and my best friends can attest to this, I remember that I couldn't take it no more because I was holding everything inside. And I couldn't tell my dad because it was just going to get crazy if I told my dad. So I remember writing a letter to my 3 best friends. And I said everything. Because everybody knows me, like, I'm fun, I'm bugged out. But when I was younger, I was the same, you know, silly, funny girl. But I had a temper, child. Put like this, if we were going to school and they would pick me up and it was raining and my bangs were messed up, don't you even touch me, because I'd be like, don't fucking touch me or I will put my hands on you. Like, I was psychotic like that I'd be like, thank you for staying friends with me, because I was a little bitch and I wouldn't have been friends with me. Like, fuck, like, I treated y'all so bad sometimes and they still stood by my side. They would just be like, let her be, she in her mood, you know what I mean? Whatever, man.
Thank God for friends like
friends with these people, okay? I've known them. I was 5 and 10 years old, all my friends that I grew up with. I'm 39, so this is years of friendship. They know when I was crazy. So anyways, I told them everything. And I think that kind of put the pieces together of where my rage every time would come from, or my anger and my temper, you know, because I was suffering inside when nobody knew. And then when I got into the relationship with my ex, the one that was a destructive relationship, I was 4 years in silence and nobody knew I was going through what I was going through. I would portray and put this facade like I was in a great relationship, and you know what I mean? Like, I would do all that. Yeah. It wasn't until I got out of it that I started opening up to people and telling them, because at that point it's like I was just screaming for help, you know? But I wouldn't even go into full detail of how bad it was. I would just say like little things, you know? And it was more so because people would be like, I just leave him. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, this is not as easy as that. We're talking about a pure cycle, you know? So I stood silent. My point in saying that is that I stood silent for 4 years. And finally, when I let it all out, after that, I promised myself that I don't care what I'm going through. I'm not going to be ashamed to say anything about it. And I'm going to fucking wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm going to tell people what I'm going through, because I became suicidal because of those things. I almost tried to kill myself when I was younger because of those things. And I don't want my children to feel that way. So I don't ever want to shut them out. And sometimes that comes with this traumatic parenting where we don't want them to have a voice. No, you don't feel that way. No, don't say that. No, don't talk to me like that. No, this or that. Here's the thing, parents. Respect is not about age. You respect who respects you. And that's what I teach my children. Because at the end of the day, my mom didn't have respect for me, but she also didn't have respect for herself, because my mom been through a lot, man. My mom been through a lot. I had to dissect my mom's life to realize she's also human.
Exactly.
Remember that your parents are also human. Your parents were also teenagers. Your parents also went through postpartum and they probably didn't even know it. Your parents also went through things. You know what I mean? So they unconsciously have done things that they don't even know they're doing. Okay, they're just following the program of how they were raised. So it's like we always dismiss our children as if their voice has no validity, when it does, even when they're younger. If your child is feeling a certain way about you or somebody else, make them comfortable expressing that. Do not shut them out because they're young, that they don't have a say. You know, my dad always, a lot of people didn't like this, but my dad always let me express myself. And of course, sometimes I took it to another level because I'm just like that. And it was like, all right, chill, you know what I mean? Because I'd be like, oh, really? So then let me fucking tell you what I really feel about you. So, and it was like, okay, there's a way to say shit that I had to learn too.
You don't have to get it.
To express yourself. Because then I would just vomit at the mouth, like, fuck that shit. I'm going to tell you, fuck you, fuck. I'm like 11 years old. It's like, all right, let's tone that down. Let's learn how to express ourselves. So that's another thing. You know, I come from East New York, Brooklyn. I was raised in the hood. Okay. We come from, you know, like you, we come from an aggressive background. And that aggressiveness we put on our children. Like, I remember sometimes my husband would be like, yo, he's a child. You're talking to him like it's somebody from the street. Like, Dead ass. And I would be like, oh my God, I am. Like, so embarrassing, dude. And then also, you know, you see the trauma because let's say the way your children react to you or the things they say. Like, I grew up in a household that yelled a lot and cursed a lot. And that's something that it is the most disgusting thing that I hate, that I took on a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not even a little bit, a lot in the beginning, I'll be honest, a lot. But then I remember the first time I heard my son curse and my heart just stopped because this innocent little baby, you know what I mean? And at the time it was a little funny because he was I think like 11 months. And it was something, and he picked up the number 9. He said, fucking 9. I was like, like, oh, damn. Because it's like,
that came out a little too natural.
Me, you know? Like, and that's the thing, too. We will yell at our kids for something they did that they learned from us. What kind of psychotic shit is that? It's like, no, honey, he got that from you. Check yourself. Don't check him, check you. So, you know, I'll even say, you know what, even at times when he's gotten older and he's, you know, thrown little things that I've said, you know, I'll always tell him, Tristan, let's not say that. Not you not say that. Let's not say that. And I'll say, you know,
like a community.
Yep. I said, you got that from me and that's not right. And I'm wrong. I don't ever put it on him. Because again, you're the problem, not your child. I'm like, you know what? Let's not say that wasn't right. I'm sorry about that. And then at times when he'll catch me like just talking and say, he's like, mommy, I'm like, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do better. Like,
yeah, they check me also. I also wanted to have a conversation. I was writing down a little bit so that I wouldn't forget.
I know I have
but another thing that I learned, and I'm so happy that I learned it really early on, was the behaviors that they pick up from the people around them, right? Woo! So as parents, we don't realize that we're supposed to not isolate them, but we are their foundation. Yeah. We are where we are the source. We are the foundation of everything that they are, who they are, what they become, everything, right? Yeah. So one thing that I didn't realize is because obviously I needed help from my family. And not only did I have Enzo, but I had the twins. And that was a little bit of like a lot for me in the beginning. Ooh, girl. So having family around was just, honestly, I couldn't have asked for anything else. Like,
it's amazing.
It just, they let me be me. And I did everything, but they helped me pick up the poor little slack that I couldn't pick up because I genuinely couldn't, because I was literally trying to do everything for my son. It's just a responsibility that fell on me immediately after he was born. I just said, this is my son and I have to do everything for him. Right? So that doesn't happen to everyone, and it's okay, no judgment. But for me, it felt really hard, and that responsibility, I took it very serious. So I was trying to do everything, right? So it was amazing having all these parents. Hi. Amazing having all these all these people around me, all these parents, all these aunts and cousins. I had amazing cousins also come and help me even when I couldn't. I would be like, yo, I can't even do anything anymore. Can somebody? And I would have my cousins come and help me out. It was amazing, right? Now, once I got it all on my own and I was ready, I was like, I need to get out of here. But it wasn't that my family was messing anything up. Right, no. It wasn't anything like that. I love them and everything was just so perfect. But we have different growing stages. And in that stage, I realized once I had everything and I was like, okay, I could do this. I'm going to throw myself and fly. Okay. Once I did that and I was like, I need to have my family, just us. Right? That's when all the healing and all the correcting of past behaviors happened. Because now I'm not just correcting them, I'm correcting me, because that's where they're getting it from. Because now they have nobody else to copy. They have no one else to pick up any bad behaviors except me and my husband and their siblings, and that's it. Right? That doesn't mean you have to isolate your children. No, but that time that you spend together has to be there. It has to be set in stone of just you guys. Really, so they see how mom and dad behave.
Yep, that's
Exactly. So
that's
that
so
then they
true.
understand this is how we act here. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when we go out, everybody can act however they want,
However they want.
but
Yep.
we act different here. The
Exactly.
way, this is the way in this
Yep.
house. And this house is, no matter where we are, it's us together. That's our house.
That's right
So
here.
that
That's in your
means
family.
wherever you go, you represent us, right? And
Yes.
that responsibility is super, super important, embedding
Yes.
that into your children. We are a nation. We have certain behaviors. We have
Yeah.
different customs and habits. And we break cycles out here. That's what we do. We don't have to act like everybody else. We
No.
don't have to do what everybody else does. We hold our integrity, you know. And to me,
Yes.
that's something that parents really need to, I'm not saying do it like me, I'm not saying do
You
it like
find your
anybody
way. Yeah.
else, but that teaching that into the children, and putting that in there, like, listen, you go wherever you go, but the way we act at home is the way we act no matter where we are, doesn't matter who we are. It's so important.
Yes. So, so important. Just to, like, this crazy because you had the help, right? And then you had to just take your moment and say, wait, you know what I mean? Let me build my foundation of how I want my children raised. See, me and my husband, we didn't have no help. We live in California. All my immediate family is in New York. Now, certain people flew out after I gave birth and things like that. But for the most part, day in and day out, it's just me and him. So we're 24/7 with these children, get no break. The last time I had a date night with my husband was in January for my birthday. Okay, we're about to be in September. So, sometimes there's this conditioning, and it's also part of trauma, I feel like, where we're not accustomed to being with our children all the time. Because there's this society,
Say that one more time.
there's this model, that they built, and it's like, work 9 to 5, and then you're gonna have the weekends off. But in that weekend, you're gonna be doing laundry, you're gonna be doing all these, you're gonna be catching up. You know what I mean? And so you get programmed to that you lose your connection with your child. That's not to say that if you're working, you don't have a connection. I know we have to work. I know we got to pay bills. I know we got to do all that. But let's really think about what that motto is doing and how much it's traumatizing us. Because all I remember is just my parents always working. My mom was out from 8 a.m. and wouldn't get back home till almost like 10 o'clock at night. My dad only worked, he left at 7 and he got back like at 4 p.m. But for the most part, we were by ourselves. You know what I mean? And then it's like there was no family time. We have to break certain cycles because we're traumatically parenting without even knowing, by just doing these things unconsciously. Like, no, I have to work. I have to do this. I have to do that. No, how about we have to fucking spend time with our children? And I'm not talking about like, oh, they're in the house. No, I'm talking about quality time. I'm talking about getting off of our phones. This is a poison also with parenting, okay? You're adding trauma to this. Your children don't care at the end of the day, even though it's important. Papi, please go over there. Don't care how much you have to work, how much money you're making. They desire your time, your quality time. And in order to break these cycles of trauma, we're going to have to spend time with our children. And sometimes I think we're afraid of that because the more we spend time with them, the more they reveal to us ourselves. And as somebody who has been 24/7 with my child, that is why I've had the breakthroughs I fucking have, because I'm with them all day. I'm here running a business, writing a book, and they're here 24/7. You hear them. So, number one, I'm grateful because the truth is that I manifested this. I had always said I had children late. And I say late, but it's not really late. All my friends had children between 16 and 19 years old. All my best friends I grew up with. So their children are older now. My first child I had at 33. So now I'm having my child at 33, but I'm also way more wiser now. My friends didn't have the ability to do that. You know what I mean? To change certain things, and I always used to see that either they were working so much and had no time with their children, or they were home with their children, but had no sense of self, had nothing for themselves, of a passion, of something they were working on. So they just felt like this slave to the house, you know, and doesn't get a break. And it's like, no, that's why you always have to find a passion, you know what I mean, that you love to do, something you love to do, or work or whatever, whether it brings money or not. It's going to give you peace. It's going to give you a form of peace, and that's going to help your parenting. But if you're just 24/7 parenting, right, and you're not taking that time to find yourself within this parenting, you know what I mean, you're going to lose your fucking mind and just feel crazy. So if you're a mom that has to be home with your children and run a business or whatever, because at the end of the day, I'm running a business, but also being at home is a job. Being a stay-at-home mom is work. You're not just sitting at home twiddling your fucking thumbs, you know, fucking just, no, bitch. Like, you are sitting there every second they want something, you know? So if that's your case, then also know that you have to also filter that time correctly. You have to make a certain schedule so that they have a balance. They understand that when you need your time, you need your time, you know? Because it's like she said, yes, Crystal, you suck as a parent when you don't focus on yourself first. Yes. So many people,
Crystal,
they put the children first. No. You got to put yourself first. You got to put yourself first, because if you ain't right, them children ain't going to be right. If you're not healing, you're going to have them go through shit that they're going to have to undo.
Unnecessarily.
And you don't want them to, and it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? You just got to, you know, face the fact that your parents fucked up sometimes, okay? It is what it is. No, oh, sorry. You see, he caught me. He said, don't say that. My bad. Because I'm not supposed to be here. That's why.
You're supposed to not say that way. You're supposed to not say fuck. That's not great.
I'm getting checked on my live. You see? You know, I ain't even mad. This is real shit. I mean, this is real stuff right here.
Let's go, Tristan.
Sorry. All right, enough. Bye. Don't get after that. So, all right, no, I'm serious. Come on, go. So, so you have to filter that time so that you don't lose your mind, and it's more of a sense where Tristan, now you're being disrespectful. Come on. Go over there. So, you have to filter that time so that you're taking time for yourself to heal. You're also, teaching your children how to not be overwhelmed with all this, because they're home every day. They get bored. They get bored. I mean, they always need to be busy, but sometimes you can't entertain them to be busy. You know what I mean? You just don't have the time to do. You have to do certain things. But we have to also, just take that into account, that this is everything that they're learning is a new world to them. And we're the ones that are guiding them in that world. And everything we teach them now, if we don't sit back and look at ourselves and say, what was wrong in my business, in my life, you know what I mean, of how I was raised, so that I can be conscious of it. So when it comes up in my children and my parenthood, I kind of have the moment to stop and say, we're not going to do that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Let's try something new.
Let's try something new. Like, even hitting your children, we all got raised with our parents beat our asses. You know what I mean? Like, you got the belt if you didn't, you know what I mean? That's the way it was. All right, Tristan, I'm having this adult conversation. Now you're doing too much. So, so you know what I mean? So it's like, but you also say, wait a minute, where did we even get the hitting from? That's also trauma nobody talks about.
That's very true.
That goes into slavery. That goes deep stuff. You know what I mean?
Because depending on the culture also, it can go extra deep.
Because one thing what my dad did, unlike my mom, was that my dad spoke to me first. He would say, he would always be like, it was like, I'm going to talk to you first. I'm going to tell you what you did wrong. And if you do it again, you're going to get in trouble. And if you do it again, then you're going to get hit. Like that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like, because now you just crossed the line. So
my mom just hit.
That was my mom. My mom just hit. So it was like, he gave us those chances to check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you
Which is very important.
Which is very important, because we're all going to make mistakes. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. Nobody's parenting perfectly. I don't care how many people front You know, and even there's you know, mothers that people will see on Instagram and they'll think like they probably never went through postpartum. They're probably just chilling because they got a nanny or they got this and that. Let me tell you something. Tristan, go over there. They're, you know, what was I saying? He lost my whole train of thought.
Oh, talking about the parents that sometimes it was about the corrections.
Yes. So I forgot. He lost my whole train of thought. But my point in that is saying, like, you know, in order to change stuff, in order to change stuff, you have to be aware of it. And the way you're gonna be aware of it is, I highly recommend meditation. Meditating, and like you said, you can meditate daily without sitting there closing your eyes. Meditation is about being aware. That's all that is. It's about being aware.
Yes.
So if you're aware of it, then you're moving in the present. Because a lot of times we're not living in the present. We're living in the past of what we've been through and our trauma, or we're living in the hope for the future. But those things don't exist and they're not real. Only the present moment exists.
And that present moment is what's going to dictate what your future looks like and what your memories created. You know what I'm saying?
Go over there. Go ahead. Come on. I'm going to close my door now. Hold on a second. Go, Tristan, go. Go. I'm not going to hit you. Get out of here. Here. He's like, oh, I'm acting up. She's going to beat my ass. She done told me. He passed the threshold, but he all right. So I wanted to share something really quickly. There was one time that my daughter was, she was eating a potato. I think I told you this. And she almost choked on the potato.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to go help her, I remember my husband was sitting a few feet, like, you know, just right there in a chair. And when I went to go help her, I kid you not, it's as if I time warped to a moment where my mom was choking on something. And she was on the floor, and I was trying to help her. And my brother was just standing there frozen. And he wouldn't help. And I screamed at my husband, and I said, help me. But I wasn't even talking to him. You know what I mean? I was in a whole nother moment. And then when she spit the potato out, it was like I fucking woke up. And I was like, and there was just this weird feeling in my body that I didn't even know how to explain. And I couldn't believe what just happened. So I just ran. Like, I literally just ran upstairs. And, like, my husband was just stuck there. You know what I mean? And that whole day, like, I didn't want to talk about it. I was trying to just process it. And then later on, we went out to eat. And I told him what happened. And he was like, wow, you had a moment. You know what I mean? But I say that to say that made me realize that I was parenting with traumatic eyes. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because it was nothing serious. But, I mean, it was serious. She was choking. You know what I mean? Like, for me to go that far back, and it's a moment that I don't even, like, I remember it, but then it became like I was there. You know what I mean? Like, I was physically, like, I traveled into that dimension real quick, into that reality, and I was there. So that just goes to show you just so much the power of the mind. You know what I mean? And how our thoughts can sit here and create situations that are non-existent. Because, again, that's something that happened in the past. It doesn't exist anymore.
Not anymore.
So why am I recreating that moment? You know what I mean? And causing myself to relive it. Because remember, your body can't differentiate if it's really happening and if it's not happening. All it knows is that it's feeling those emotions. It's like when you watch a show and something happens, and then they're going through something serious and you start crying. But when you start crying, you feel that shit in your heart.
Yeah, that's what made you cry.
Pain. Yes.
You feel it.
So your body doesn't know, yo, she's just watching a show. It's not real. You know what I mean? So it made me, that's when I really got heavy into this healing and understanding all the trauma I've been through, you know. And with certain people, you can go and talk to the people that but unconsciously gave you the trauma. Like, you can go to your parents if you have the ability to, and your parents are in a sane place mentally. Go to your parents and talk to your parents, okay? And this is not to bash them, to disrespect them or any of that, but have an adult conversation where ask questions, you know, ask them like, how, you know, when you were raised, you know, how did your mommy treat you? Or what did your mommy do? Did your mommy spend time with you? Did your mommy tell you she loves you? Did your mommy hug you? Did your mommy, or your daddy too? Let's not forget about these dads. They're so important. Whatchamacallit, like, ask those questions, because the more you know about your parents, the better you're gonna parent, because now you're starting to understand why they became who they became. Now, I don't have the luxury of doing this with my mom, because my mom is not in a mental sane place to have these conversations. She's still in the trauma, so she's still acting as such. So I can't do that, but that's fine. It is what it is. That's my situation. I take my reality and I move accordingly. So, but what I did on my own is I sat down and broke down her life from when she was, from what I know of it, you know, and I know as far as like 15. Or if not, I would also ask my dad questions that my dad knew about her. You know what I mean? Like, what about this, mommy? What about that? What about this? What about that? Because my dad has always been very transparent in how he grew up and what he'd been through and the trauma he experienced, you know? Because my dad would always say, like, certain things that happened to him as a child, he promised he would never do with his children. So those kind of things in parenting is what has allowed me to, you know, find my journey in healing, because I know that if he healed himself from certain things and his shit is way worse than what I ever been through, then I can do it. I can do this, you know? So, you know, I dissected my mom's life up to, like, I know most of it up to she was 15 years, since 15 forward.
Yeah.
So, because of that, when I dissected it, I was like, wow, there was no way she was going to be able to be the mom she was supposed to be. There was no way. You know, my mom, we're talking about an era, the drug era in the 80s, you know what I mean? Where they fucked a lot of people up. A lot of people up, okay? Let's remember, people, there wasn't no war on drugs. There was a war on us. Okay? I'm going to say that again. There was not a war on drugs. There was a war on us. And I say that in one of my, I talk about that in one of the movies I wrote, because that destroyed a generation of parents. And it caused a lot of trauma. You're having a separation. There's people that don't have their fathers because they were either in prison through the mass incarceration, or they were in drugs or HIV. So many different things, you know. But you have to understand that in order to heal, you got to dissect everything. Everything, because everything plays a factor. There's people that I know, like, let's say they have a big problem with marijuana, right? But if you dissect their life, it's not that they're trying to judge you, it's that they've had a bad experience in whoever they witnessed doing it. You know, like, somebody, you know, to them it's like, oh no, they just smoke and don't do nothing and they do that. You know, there's different levels to everything. So it's like, we can't get mad at people that, you know, disagree with certain things, because that means that there's just some experience that they had with it that was in a negative, you know, way. So it's all about perspective, you know, and we have to have different perspectives when we're parenting, because also remember,
important,
every child is different. Like, literally every child is different. Do not raise all your children. You raise them the same way as far as in the foundations that you build, right, of who they become as a person. You want them strong. You want them, you know, you want all these things. But they're different personalities. And one thing about this past generation of parents is that they only parented one way.
Exactly.
One way.
Exactly.
With it was like, just this is the way. Because my grandmother did it, because my aunt did it, because this person. No, that's impossible.
Yeah, that's something that I awakened in a very similar way, like with you. It wasn't like I didn't have like a vision of anything, but it was something that me was when I had to think about that one day. Like, I'm the type of person, like, my personality, I like to get to the source. That's just how I am. There's people that like go with the flow. There's some people that learn as they go. Me, it's like, you give me this and you're like, this works. I'm gonna dissect the whole thing and be like, okay, these are the pieces. That's how you make it. Okay, now I use it. Now I can use it confidently. That's how. So when I was like my mom was telling me something, and she said to me, she was like, oh, because you always asked a lot of questions and everybody always thought that was annoying. So until one, like my cousin's mom sat me down and started asking me questions back. And then like I loved going to her house because she was doing it to annoy me back. But that was the first time, like I'm getting goosebumps everywhere, that I was learning like through experience and through conversation and that I was leading it. You understand?
Right.
When I made that realization, I said, wait, all my children are different. They all learn different. They all understand. They all experience. They all, from the same situation. I tell people I do 3 different types of parenting. Like when me, right? I separate them. You don't let anybody put their hands on you. And I better not catch you putting your hands on you. You know, like it's letting them.
It's so true.
And teaching them their way so that they can like just progress better in life, like and deal with themselves better in life, because we're dealing with ourselves at the end of the day.
You're dealing with yourselves.
Your projections, it's all your ways that you get offended, it's all ways that you took it the wrong way or the person didn't have the right tone, and it's all determined by you. So have your mom and dad to have these conversations with, or if you guys are not there yet, the best thing you could do is just sit with yourself. Have with yourself and have, like, what people don't understand is we have moral conflicts that we need to have with ourselves. We need to debate those in here, because the second we take them out, someone is gonna shift our perspective to their perspective, because it's another person's view. The only way that you can get your own perspective is by you sitting alone and questioning yourself. What am I doing? What am I acting like? What am I feeling? And those is what's going to give you the answers. Actively meditate awake all day and think, should I have done that? And then you start picking up little things that you do. I bite my nails a lot. I still do sometimes because I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, wait. And I remind myself, don't your nails. Put your hands down, because then I catch them, the girls, with their fingers in their mouth, but they got it from me.
And they got it from you,
My mom was never able to admit that that's where I got it from. Like, you know, Enzo, they had something really, really funny that he said to me. He was like, why do you like ideas so much? Because I always tell him, when you have an idea, share it with me, right? So he just stopped and was like, he got pissed and was like, why you always want me to share my ideas, or what is so cool about ideas, right? So then I took a second, I was like, thank God we were on a farm, so it was like perfect, like everything. So I told him, I'm like, well, just take a second, hold my hand. I was like, analyze your surroundings and just take a deep breath, right? Anything in this world that is not nature started as an idea inside a human brain. A chair, a fork, a desk, paper, toilets, whatever. That's so true. Easier, and that's our superpower, is to create from nothing, from ideas, like, you know. So once we can understand that everything is within that, and that's how we control outer, if everybody did that, the world would just be completely different. So right now, 6 people, your 3 children and my 3 children, that are going to go into the future more prepared, that are more human. Like, I don't want to take away, like, the emphasis of human. They're interacting with other people. They have compassion for other people. They have empathy for other people, because they understand to not judge people, but try to analyze, why did that person do that? I wonder, because I told my son, hurt people. So don't ever take it, oh, I'm gonna hurt you back. You're not a hurt person. You're a very much healed person. So act accordingly. Act like you already got this. Like, you already know. Those were, like, little tips that lately we've been talking about that I felt were like really cool to bring up today,
Yeah.
because helping us so much to just also being grateful of everything. Like
Yeah.
those change and shift the energies in all of us.
I love that my son, his one of his classes he has, they do gratitude in the beginning before they even start. And you realize, like, you parent all day and you do stuff, but you don't realize till you're not around your children, and when you hear them say things to other people, you realize what type of job you did. And as I hear him say, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my food, I'm grateful for my home, I'm grateful for my toys, I'm grateful for my cousin, like all these things. And I'm like, oh my God,
He's aware.
like he's aware. So I decided, like, I want to start doing that with him, just us in general as a family. Like, we've been a little hectic because we had to move and a bunch of stuff going on, closing a business and all that. So it's like, now that we're getting into back of a routine and things like that and a schedule, like, that is something that I think every parent should consider, that when the minute your child wakes up, set the tone for that day. Like, I do it, I do it often, but it's like, I want to do it more. I want to get more intense with it, because what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll just meditate together. And we're like, we're going to have peace, we're going to have love, and we're going to not yell. Don't make me yell. Whatever the case is, we just speak, you know what I mean? Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's love ourselves. Let's respect each other, etc., etc. There's something that Crystal said that I just want to point out. She said, everything changed for me when my oldest told me, you're home but you're not with us. She was only 8 when she told me that. That's crazy. You see that? Like, and that's what I mean about Uptide was 15. I lived with my mom, but she wasn't there. She was not there mentally. She was not there. She was there physically to sleep and go to work.
Oh, something about this subject also. Okay, so another thing that like we do as parents, like give them the iPad or the phone.
Yeah.
And okay, I don't want to just be like, it's the worst, because and you don't need to have anybody tell you that. You already know it's the worst.
Yeah.
I do want to explain why it's so bad, because you might already know that, okay, it might be bad for their eyesight, it may not be good for their brain or their brain cells, and like making neurological connections, the basics that us as parents that we just naturally worry about, right? But let's take it a little deep further into that. Children, one of the key things about children is their imagination. And that's one of the things that is important, because we cannot take that away from them. Once we take that away, we take away the future to anything that the future could have had, because they can't think up anything. They're going to be stuck on what life we've created for them, unfortunately. So because we were talking about like our feelings and our emotions and all these things.
Hold on 1 second. You said what? Get on here, Celeste taking the chips. You want to say hi so bad? Say hi. Hi, I gotta finish, okay? Just say hi to everybody real quick.
Hi.
Okay. All right, now you gotta go. Go over there, Mama.
He was ready to sit
down. Say hi too? I'm sorry, guys. This is just what it is with parenting. Say hi.
Hi.
Cute.
All right, go over there, Mama.
So,
close the door for me, please, baby. Oh, you hit your funny bone? Yeah. Okay. Close the door. Yeah.
So, so when, like, how we talk about emotions and all that stuff, and how when we watch certain things, our brain cannot tell the difference of whether we're watching is true or it's not, right? So when we allow our children to just watch, we are taking away their ability to manifest, their ability to create, their ability to imagine what their could look like, what the future of the world could look like, because they're not practicing that exercise at the moment. So when we really want to take it deep as parents, can we break it down to consciousness and subconsciousness, which
Yes.
be like this.
Yeah.
The subconscious is what just has you in flow. It's what makes you do the things automatic.
Automatically.
And how we break it is through the consciousness, when we're like, we become aware. That's the first step. So any parents out there that are probably suffering through guilt at the moment, realize that at least you're aware. At least you're aware,
Yes.
God, that you know, so that you can do better. So once,
Yes.
don't feel, yeah, you're gonna feel guilty, and it's okay. Sit in the feelings, because maybe that's what you need to kind of push you, and that's okay too. These feelings are not bad. They're here to
No.
balance of growing, and we can never tilt the scale. If the scale is always like this, like, we can never create the balance.
We're always talking to ourselves in our head. We know that. You're always talking to yourself. So what you have to do is change the conversation with yourself. Start changing that conversation with yourself. And you know, a lot of parents, I think they're so hard on themselves. I'm the same way. A lot of us are, you know.
Yeah.
But we have to give ourselves credit for the things that we do for our children. You know, as much as you're gonna sit in your guilt, sit in the things of how great you are as well. Pat yourself on the fucking back. Like, parenting is not easy. There was no damn instruction book that came with this, and it's like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? There was none of that. And also, be aware of the people that your children are around, and what are they being put through that's also traumatizing them. Because
Exactly.
let's say you don't have a house that's all, you know, chaotic or whatever, or, you know, like mine was just a lot of yelling and cursing, right? Here is like, we have more peace in that. Obviously, yeah, I yell sometimes and all that shit. We all do, okay? And curse and all that, but not to the degree of what it was in my house. Like, my children see two loving parents who love each other. You know what I mean? We spend a lot of time together, and we also do our family days, or we do stuff together as a family, you know? And my children look forward to these moments. The reason we let go of our last business was because it was taking up too much of our time away from our children. I got tired of telling my kids, I gotta work. I gotta work. I gotta work. I'm gonna find a way around this, because I'm not gonna do that to my child. And just like Crystal said, her daughter, you know, her child said she was there, but she wasn't there. And that's a lot of parents, you know. We are giving too much power to these schools and all these other institutions to raise our children, but what are they really doing to our children? Think about not only the trauma that you're imposing on your children, think about the trauma that other people's trauma are imposing on your children when they're teaching them through school, through all these things. You know what I mean? Other people can traumatize your children as well. You know, what if your child's in somebody else's house and they have a very traumatic household? You know, your child is going to take upon that trauma. So we have to also remember that when, like, it's a village, it is a village. And you got to make sure that your village is intact and that everybody is on the same page, so that we can work together to raise this child. Because that's how it was back in the days. We're just all disconnected right now. And that's why we're just all filled with this trauma and rage and anger and sadness and anxiety and depression and all these things, because we never had an outlet or a village to say, yo, am I feeling this? Is this normal? Is this not normal? You know what I mean? You'll feel like you're going crazy, you know? So, and this is what I want to stress too. I know we've been like an hour or so, but I want to stress this to everybody. This is the point of Mommy Mondays. It's for us to be completely transparent, share our truths. You can come here and go ahead, let it all out. You know what I mean? This is what that space is for. If you're the type of person that you don't want to let it out because this is, you know, a live feed and things like that, and you want to be more personal, reach out to me and Danesha. Me and Danesha are the type of people that we love helping other mothers, because we understand what it is to feel alone and feel like you're going crazy with all the emotions that you're feeling. Yes. You don't have to do this alone. Like, I may not have my mom to go to directly, or an aunt or things like that, like immediate, but I have incredible moms that I became close to that have helped me so much. So even if you don't have, you know, the direct contact, and if you do, use it. Because you know what you can do also to your parents? You can help your parents heal themselves. If your parents are that, you know, as far as in where you can communicate them and ask them questions, and then you both are talking, you both are going to heal yourselves.
Or seriously, I'm honestly also just by leading by example. It's
Yes.
also how to hold up your crown and show people how to do it. So at the end of the day, it's like we can blame everything we want on them, but
Yes.
they've been cut that cord. It's your responsibility
It's
now.
your responsibility to heal yourself.
Yeah, but it's like you were saying, you know, seek people that are like-minded as you. Like
Yes.
in the same situation as you, because what you don't want to do is try to create this like non-judgmental environment in somebody that hasn't experienced any of that
Yes.
perceptions and what you're receiving out of this life, you know. Some
Yep.
people are you know, so if like me, I was a party girl, so all my cousins, you know, I thankfully had one cousin that was going through the same thing, and that was my binder where I was like, oh my God, thank you, God, for this. Because without that connection of my cousin Kenilyn, who was having a baby at the same time, she had that was my community. Yeah, I had my mom there, and but none of them had just had a baby.
Right.
None fraction breastfeeding. They didn't even thing.
And anything you want, you have to go to people that have experienced it or are experiencing it. It's like a single, you know, a married person is not going to go to a single person for marriage advice. Why would I do that? You know what I mean? And even when you have moms, let me say this before, you know, we can wrap this up a little bit, but if you have one child, right? Okay. You can seek, you know, guidance from another mom to that. Now, if you have multiple children, you have to seek a mom with multiple children. Okay? Like, if you seek a mom with one child, that's not saying that, you know, she's not good. No, it's that she can't relate to the multiple part there because she's not there yet. So, like, Danesha has 3 children. I have 3 children. So, and all of our children are, like, in that same age. You know what I mean? Like, they're all close. We had them. So, we have, like, you know, certain experiences that we're both going to experience the same way. So, if I need certain guidance, I'm going to go to Danesha or my other best friend that has 3 children that had them close in age. You know what I mean? Like my other best friend, she had 3, but her oldest is 18, and then the other 2 are like 2-3 years younger. You know what I mean? So they're older now, but when I would go to her and be like, yo, I'm feeling X, Y, and Z, you know, she would be like, no, that's exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. Like, you're not crazy. It's all normal. Digest it. You know what I mean? It's all good, you know? Find your village, and that's not saying you have to have every parent that whatever, but for certain the certain things that maybe you need like a specific advice from, go to the parent in that village that is in your lane, you know?
Yeah, I cut off a little bit there.
But yeah, like just go to a parent that, you know, out of your village, you're gonna find that one parent that is same as you. Oh, she has 2 kids too? Okay, let me talk to this one instead. You know what I mean? Yes.
Yeah,
So you need
and
people
that
feel like you. Yep.
because it's like, you know, anybody that can like say anything about me would know that I've never like judged. Even there's a few moms that were like, oh, I kind of felt weird in the beginning to complain to you about me having 1 child, but you have 3. And they were like, but then I realized that you weren't like that. So I gave them get me up. And I would tell them, like, you know, I actually suffered a lot with my first child more than when I had all 3. And it may seem crazy to a lot of people, but it was like I was first. It was my first time, and I was just thrown into motherhood. It's just completely. I tell mothers, feel that bad with one, talk to another mom that you guys can maybe there the park and have like play dates and stuff, because you need to let out all those emotions. If you don't voice them, you don't know what they sound like. You need to know sound like, so your body can get that frequency of like, wow, I released it. I understand what happened to me. I can heal from this, because your body just needs it doesn't even need your okay. It will just so just voice whatever you want. If you just had a baby, call somebody. Hey, this is what happened to me. This is what happened to me at the hospital. This is what I was feeling. I was so scared. And just express those feelings, because that's gonna kickstart your healing process, is voicing it.
Otherwise it's gonna turn into trauma.
It's gonna
And
turn
you're
into
react
trauma.
a certain way. And Crystal said something really good. She said sometimes, a lot of times, it can't be your friends or your family because they're not on the same page as you. I know so many people who can't go to their family because they don't get it. I don't go to my family, I'll be honest, for any advice. The only family I go to is my dad. Other than that, everybody else is moms that I've connected with, and friends that, certain, sometimes it's not even the friends that I grew up with sometimes. You know what I mean?
It's just that on Instagram, or one that you met in the train station.
Yeah, and you know what? They'll probably be the person that'll help you the most compared to somebody that known you for years. Why? Because there's no judgment there. Mm-hmm. They're just listening to you. There's no preconceived, oh, wait, there's none of that. There's just you and you expressing yourself 100%, and them just listening to you, like literally listening to you, So like I said, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We are super, super open. I love helping mothers, especially young mothers as well. This is how we're going to break these cycles, because we got to understand that the trauma is not us. It's who we became. Okay? The intense emotions, you know what I mean, are just a trigger of that pain. And most of the time, all you need is just a moment, either with your girlfriends or a moment out by yourself. Sometimes that's all you need. Just you know what I mean? Treat yourself. Do these things. Do everything that's going to help your mental state, because that's also going to help you with the trauma you're dealing with. Do so many things, and most importantly, talk about things. Talk about it, whatever it is. Don't ever feel that you sound stupid, or that like, oh, you got it, like you said, like, oh, you have 3 kids and I have 1 and I'm sitting here complaining. Let me tell you something, whether you have 1 or 3, parenting is not easy. Okay, this is a whole nother human being that you have to raise, okay, and you are responsible for. And that pressure sometimes can really do some damage in your brain, because you're like, yo, I'm really responsible for this person's life or death. Like, it's that deep, know? And even with my first, I feel like I didn't even realize I was going through postpartum until like after the first year. I didn't even realize it at all, and then I got pregnant right afterwards when I thought I was going to be good. I was like, woo, back in. And it was crazy because I'll be honest, when I had my first child, I went through so much, just trying to, sometimes we do too much because we want to be so perfect and not make any mistakes. And I know for me, I had like this subconscious thing where I didn't want to be like my mom. And I didn't want my children to hate me or to feel a certain way towards me. So it's like, I was like micromanaging every, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, and it's like, we just need to relax, because everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, everything's going to be okay. But you try to do so much to not make these mistakes. And then within that, sometimes you'll make mistakes, but don't feel guilty. I mean, we get the mom guilt, I get it, but don't let it overpower you, you know what I mean? To the point where you're just thinking sometimes some really bad thoughts or things like that. I've been there, trust me, Always seek somebody that you can talk to, open up even about your trauma. I'm very transparent with my life because I'm grateful for the life that I've lived and the things that I've survived. And for a long time, I never wanted to talk about my stuff like this, like this. But I realized that would be selfish of me, because the truth is that I got to this point on certain things with motherhood because I seeked help from other mothers. And if it wasn't that I knew them personally, they made videos. They spoke about certain things, you know what I mean? And they shared it. Or they shared their experience on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God. So you help people without even knowing you helping people. And if our job as healers and mothers, and we have this passion for healing and helping people, then we're gonna have these conversations, and we're gonna have to open up our our dark side and our trauma and a lot of things. We're just gonna have to open up, you know what I mean? And when you do that, other people are gonna open up, and the more we open up and the more we heal as a community, then we're shifting the future of our children, our children's children, and
Yeah,
keep going like that.
we do that now. Can be that one person in the family that you go to for everything. Hey, Danesha, let me help. What did I know about this? What do you know about that? Hey, Jen, what do you know? I'm going through this. What do you? And now you have like, you have a whole network. Like, I know people don't want to think of it like that, but now even with your family, you have to build network. Like, you have to,
Yeah.
and like, you know, help each other out, because the times are getting really scary where we don't know what we're supposed to know. Anybody out there, you should be in a witch hunt trying to figure out what's going on, laws and all things, because we don't communicate. So it's like there could be 5 people in your family right now questioning everything, but because we don't have these conversations with each other, everyone's quiet.
Yep.
And now, you know, nothing's being done, rather than 5 people that can be on top of their family affairs, you know, like it's because, you know, I speak because I'm doing everything by myself.
Listen, every time, like when I get in a really, like if I've ever gotten in a really, really bad place, like I do have the ability to go to my dad. Like when it gets to the point where I'm just like, all right, I can't take this, you know what I mean? My dad is definitely somebody that I go to, and he's helped me a lot, you know what I mean? He's helped me be aware of more things, let me say that. Because he's, you know, he'll tell me like, okay, well, let's be honest. You're doing this motherhood by yourself. I don't care how many friends you got. There's a mother nurturing connection that you didn't have while you were pregnant, while you gave birth, while you raised your child. Yeah, you have your husband. Yeah, you have all these people, but technically you're by yourself here. And there's a void there. And it's not that you have to cry and be, no, you just got to be aware of it. That's why sometimes you may move a certain way, because technically you're by yourself. You don't have guidance from the person who made you, who can guide you the best way. You know, every woman needs their mother when it comes to pregnancy and birth. I don't care what relationship you have with them. Yeah. Every woman needs that. And don't get me wrong, you also need your dad. Your dad provides a certain part of you that you need. It's the yin to the yang. They both come together and provide you what you need to be the person that you're supposed to be. You know, but and even if, let's say you're somebody that's the opposite of me, who didn't have a dad but had the mom, you also have trauma from your dad.
Yeah, like my of my life, and that was traumatic too, which I didn't even realize, you know, because there's people that have they lose their dads, but to me it was like a little different, because it's like my dad is there, he's just not active. That's the worst part. Because your dad can't reach back out to you, but kind of mine is like a choice, you know. And I'm not shaming my dad. I have a great relationship.
No, yeah, I get it.
But it was a learning process where I was extremely vocal about how I felt and about how we deal with things. So till this day, learning things, and I'm still teaching him things, and he's still learning with me, you know. Between us, because at the end of the day, I was always the person that told him the truth to his face. Like, yeah, I understand this, but is it really you setting the right example for us? And those things would really kind of like catch him off guard, like, whoa, because I would be honest, you know. I feel that you know, sometimes we just hide. We hide everything. And no, this is the time where we have to let everything out. We have to be vocal about how, and we have to thank you. And we have to kind of just make these reconnect with our family members. Like, look, to this day, I don't understand. But I grew up respecting my grandparents, having conversations with my grandparents, asking my grandparents questions.
Wow.
Things with my grandparents. And not only my grandparents, my great grandparents.
That's beautiful.
My great, this day, I'm getting goosebumps all over. I can go to DR and connect with my family. And that's the reason that I say that, like, everything happens for a reason, because I'm here and my heart, I understand, is in the Dominican Republic, but I wasn't born to that.
Right.
And the deep connections that are in me, that once I went and experienced life over there and I came back over here, I was like, what are we doing? Why are we not acting like that? That's our nation. That's the way that we're supposed to act. Why are we here adapting different
To a whole
morals of other?
that's the thing, is that there's this American dream, right? But with that comes just this obsession with money, with working, with power, and we lose our connection with our children. Let me tell you something. I was making so much money in my billing company. I'm talking about a 6-figure company that I built from the ground up with my husband, and I just let that go.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I could be making bank right now with all this stuff that's going on because the numbers are skyrocketing in the offices now. But there's no money in this world that's going to make me lose the connection with my children and destroy my family that I've built. We get so consumed with money and work. And it's crazy because I was telling my friend how, you know, I have other businesses, ventures that I'm tapping into, and those give me more freedom. And what's crazy is that I've been working since I used to work since I started working at 15, and I always worked multiple jobs. So all I know is working so much. That to the point that this is the first time, and I'm 39 now, so that's like what, 15, whatever, 20 years, I don't know. I don't know what it is to just relax. What the fuck is that?
It's hard.
I feel guilty if I'm not doing something. Like, and that's a lot of parents, you know, so then it's like they're working because they're addicted to that. They can't stay home with their children. Mm-hmm. There are situations where I know that some moms can't even leave the children with the dad because the dad can't do it by himself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, what have we really created with this American dream? Is it really because it as I dissect it more, it's what's causing most of our trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes, our parents came here with the American dream and wanted to do best for us, not noticing we didn't need the money. Yes.
That's so
yes. That was it. It's like, yo, I don't need to be a millionaire right now. I need to have my children. I need to make sure that I'm with my children. I don't care how crazy they drive me.
Yeah.
They're the people that drive me crazy, but they're the only ones that keep me sane.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds.
Another crazy thing is that we've also been led, and I know I'm going off a little bit, but we've been led to believe that, like, parenting is like a punishment. It's like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Not realizing that if we really thought about it, if we went deep, our children are our assets. They are.
Yes.
Sure. If we don't invest in our children, and that's not talking about investing like
money,
this.
no.
Talking about investing your time with your children. If you don't invest in your children, you are not getting nothing back. And that's why there's a bunch of lonely old people. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in my family. That doesn't happen. But I've seen it happen where you made all this money and then now you're in a nursing home. Excuse me? So what was the point of all of this? What was the point? For yourself? Like, because it still don't make no sense, you know?
I mean,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to hear
you have these people, these rich parents, and those are the only times that I be hearing where the children are killing the parents for the life insurance money. What in the hell?
And they're rich.
Sorry, but you hear that the most in the Caucasians. Let's be honest here, okay?
Yeah.
They be killing their parents. But there are also the ones that they have all this money, but they have their soul is completely lost. So what is the money really doing for you? What is it really doing for you? Don't get me wrong. We all want to feel comfortable. We all want to do we want to make sure we're secure, our bills are paid. But let me tell you something. If you get your mind right, you can manifest whatever you want, and the universe will give it to you. Will give it to you. Will bring it to you. Opportunities will come to you, and you will be able to be okay. You know what I mean? Also, find a skill where you can have your own and make your own money, and there's not a cap on how much you can make. As long as you stick with it, you could build a family business where then your children are part of it, because that's what we're supposed to do. Okay? We're just sitting here creating somebody else's, going hard on somebody else's dream, and then not creating any foundation for our children. And then we wonder why we're so fucked up and all traumatic, because all we're focused on is the money, 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 money. But it's like, no, where's the money coming from? Number one, the source of where it's coming from. And how is that source making you feel? If you're going to your job every day and you are just miserable, you're going to bring that energy back home to your children. And there goes the trauma again. You're traumatizing your children.
We entered a whole nother cycle.
It keeps going, That's why we stress. It's not about putting the children first. The children are always going to be there. But sometimes as parents, once we have children, we throw ourselves out the window. And in order to stop this traumatic parenting, we have to put ourselves first. And when I say that, I mean on every aspect. Think about the work that you're doing. If you're at a job right now that you don't want to be there, then your goal should be, I'm going to be there up to this point to make this money, and then I'm going to use that money to invest in something that I love doing that's going to keep on making me money. And until you get that going, then you can transfer and exit that. But you got to have a plan. You can't just sit there accepting this life. Oh, I have to work. Well, my children can't homeschool because I have to work. I don't have nobody. I hear parents say that all the time, and I see it in comments, and I'm like, so you're not going to find a way. You're not going to sit there miserable. I'll be damned. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I refuse to believe that we are meant to sit here and suffer. We can create heaven on earth if we wanted to.
Yes, for sure. That's something that kind of initiated my awakening. As a child, I always had it wasn't issues with authority. It wasn't that. It was just questioning if that this is my head thinking third grade. If that's a being and I'm a human being, why does that human being get to tell this human being what to do? Didn't never sat. And I don't have a problem with authority. If I worked at a job and you're my boss, cool. What do I gotta do? But there's a purpose. I understand somebody appointed you to monitor, blah blah blah. But always had that issue of who places that person there, and who, those were the questions. So just know that you should probably start dissecting those things. Who tells us what to do? Who tells us how to do it? And why are we following these footsteps? Because we have to take our mindset out of that. It's easy to jump in a circle. It's so easy. The hard part is getting out. So we have to just stop and just think, what is going on? What is happening? Am I supposed to live like this? Is there really I have to do what everybody else does? Because to me, and I don't know about anybody else, I always have the choice. I make my decision.
Always.
So
when you start thinking like that is when you start seeing your life change. I promise you, because I'm not going to sit here and say that me and Danesha used to always think like that. No, we made ourselves that way. And we started seeing the difference in our children and within ourselves when we took control.
Other people started seeing it too.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the saddest things is when people, they wonder, oh my God, why is your children, why are they so healthy and all these things? And it's I'm sorry, everybody's child has the right to be like that. Every single one.
Yep. Well, let's see. I got to get out of here and cook some dinner right now. But this was super, super dope. We coming back next week. I think next week we talk about nutrition, right? Which I know a lot of moms love that.
Really.
Yeah, we're going to talk about nutrition, babies, toddlers, give y'all some ideas of things that, your children can snack on. Just healthier versions, okay? As we call it, pick your poison, you know what I mean? It may not be the perfect thing, but it's better than the other stuff, you know what I mean? Because it's a slow transition, but we'll get more into that next week. But I'm looking forward to that too, because yes, I am going to save this life. I'm looking forward to that too, because I know a lot of parents, that's a lot for them when it comes to nutrition. So we're going to tap into all that next week. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to grow this community more and more. And if y'all need anything, just hit us up. We're here.
Yes, we literally are here.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. I'm going to
Thank
text you, girl.
All right.
Bye. Okay. I don't even know how to do this. Okay. Okay.